But anyway, we are live, looks like. All right. I guess let's start with you, Matt. I think you were first on board. Actually, Sam was, but let's start with you.
Okay. Working on Redeemify. I got the first story in Pivotal. I've got a user story in there, so somebody, somebody can work on that. I don't know. I suppose I'll probably work on it, but I offered it up to anybody else if they wanted to take it. Nobody seemed to take it.
Did we run a vote on it?
Oh no, we got to vote on it. So maybe maybe I'll re-advertise it again.
Yes, I like if it comes to the new day. If is there a vote running on it? I hadn't seen it. Right. Is this one? What is the thing itself? Well, anyway, we'll coordinate afterwards and make sure that happens. Cool.
Yeah. And I am a little stuck, but I think I just finally had an insight into why Cucumber I can't get to work quite right. And it's because it's coming from the outside of the app in, and there's an API namespace. It's a little bit technical, but I can't get at it from Cucumber without running some external, without putting something in the host file or running something like Prax. I don't know if you've heard of that. But I think I finally got around that. I was going to ask for help on that, but I'll still have my sharing today. Evan. So if anybody wants to watch how I do that, or help me with it, that'd be great. But that's it.
Matt, is that story that you're talking about, is that a fairly straightforward story that kind of a newbie or a MOOC student could take?
No, it's pretty technical. It
Okay.
involves authentication and adding devise to the user model.
So it's not a newbie thing.
No.
Got it. Okay.
Another reason it might be hard to find somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it myself.
Okay. Well, thanks for the update. Let's see, Sandhya, you were early on board. How things going with
you? Yes. Hi, Patrick.
Hi.
So actually, last couple of days I was resolving my Git issues, and finally I have resolved all of them. I had to finally, close delete the fork and refork it again.
Ah, really? Okay.
Yeah. So only that solved the issues. Now I see some Firefox issues again. That the Firefox browser is not getting recognized and all the issues that were there. So I'm still fixing them. I think once I'm done with them, I'll start with the fix. I have identified what needs to be done. I think it's just a day or two, the Cucumber tests for the company's controller action. But basically, I was blocked basically with the Git issues and now the Firefox issues. So I hope I'll be able to fix the Firefox issues today and start tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, I know Laura's had experience with fixing Firefox issues. So if you have any problems, maybe you want to connect up with her or myself.
Yeah, sure. I think those were a different kind of issues, Patrick. That were different. Yeah. Now these are the basic issues where it says it doesn't recognize the driver itself. Later, it was giving errors related to those Gecko driver and stuff like that, which actually Lara had helped me with, and we had fixed it actually. But now after forking the repository again and starting fresh, I see the old issues back. Probably I'll be able to fix them with some, Googling around.
Googling around. Major activity of everybody. Okay. All right. Well, let us know. And thanks for the update. I guess anything else?
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. That's it on my side.
Okay. Good to see you again. Oh, by the way, Tongwei did let me know that she wasn't going to be able to make this hangout today, so she's excused. Let's see. Next, Laura, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so where was I? This morning I put out an async voter for local support, some more SEO work, which we're nearly about done on. It went so quickly, I was quite impressed with that async voter. Then I worked a bit on Met Plus this morning in terms of my Jasmine testing. I'm not sure if I'm on the right track, but I'm still kind of like researching and learning. I've gone back to my class notes, so just to refresh my memory. And then just on the local support and my new pull request, Sam, I'm still having issues with seeing the about, contacts and all of that at the bottom of the site, which I've done a DB seed and everything, but it's still not showing up.
Right. Yes, I don't know that we necessarily even have those. All those things are actually in the DB seeds.
They were there.
They were there previously.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually have them locally because I've taken a copy of the production database. But I mean, you don't have to have them in order to make progress with the feature necessarily. I mean, but we could sidestep to a different feature and say that the seeds file should be updated to include those things, which would mean that more developers would have a more similar setup to the production, which would be an improvement. So it could be a time to sort of pause that and create a ticket for that.
Okay.
Laura, on your story for the UTC to local time zone change, so I did spend some time looking at that, and I created a kind of a foundation that you could use to do your testing. I had to pull in some external files. I had to figure out how to do that. I also took Sonia's page ready function that changes the time zone, and it was an anonymous function, so I gave it a name so we can invoke it explicitly from the Jasmine test, which is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So that stuff, I'd rather get that out of the way for you so you can focus on learning Jasmine and actually conducting the tests in the Jasmine environment. So you want to connect up right after this, or do you want to do that later?
Yeah, I know we can connect up after this. It's perfect.
Okay, won't take us long then. Great. Okay, next, Sam. How about giving us an update, please?
Sure. Yes, and apologies for before. I left the video screen locked on Patrick. It's now coming back on the forwards. Too many things at once. Updates from me. Yesterday, yeah, actually async bot development. I've now used the bot to run several votes in different channels, which is getting us good feedback. Yes, we need to move forward on the whole architecture for that, and I'm looking forward to a point at which it will basically be trivial for people to just start async votes and have them run continuously, and that'll hopefully remove logistical overhead and allow people to actually just focus on getting all the stories voted on. So made some progress with that. We worked out stuff with our sponsor Dree. They are improving the availability of their servers. We fixed various bugs there. We're having great fun with them. That's all good. And then today, I'm kind of all focused on local support. I've just been reviewing all the local support stuff. We've got kind of a client meeting. I'm also running a workshop, or a dry run of a workshop for them on agile project management. So I'm probably going to have to nip off quite quickly and have lunch to get that done. But then maybe after that later in the day, maybe some programming on website one with Michael, and then it's going to be the Autograders client meeting with the instructors later on. So that's my pretty packed day for me.
Can you expand a little bit on that project management seminar for the local support folks? And what is that?
Well, that's actually for the client of local support or Harrow Community Network. They're called Voluntary Action Harrow Cooperative, and they're an umbrella group that we've been, I've been volunteering with. They were our first kind of charity customer, as it were, in Agile Ventures, and so yeah, the local support software and the Harrow Community Network site is what they've been the customers for. And they work with lots of charities throughout this part of London, and there's been interest in agile project management in general. And so I'm going to be running in 10 days a 3-hour workshop on agile project management in general, not specifically on software, but just for managing yourself and scrums and retrospectives and all this sort of stuff. And today I'm going to do a dry run of that, and I've come up with this idea of basically introducing agile project management by running the meeting in an agile fashion. So the first 10 minutes is introduction, and then we all make tickets about things that we want to know about agile project management, and then we put them on the board and we start voting on which are the ones the difficulty and prioritizing them. And then we have people split into multiple teams and work on each individual ticket, trying to, best understand, maybe we want to understand Scrum better, or how do we motivate people? And then we come back together, each team presents what they've worked out about each ticket, and then we have a retrospective. So it's kind of trying to squeeze an understanding of Agile into actually sort of doing it through a sort of a live action workshop, so to speak.
Yeah, so you have Scrum planning, you have a sprint, you have a
Yes.
sprint review, and then a retrospective.
That's right.
That
That's
sounds
right.
cool. That's really cool. Yeah.
So
Great.
I'll see if I can record that and maybe share that. And ultimately, I think I've got to write a book about this whole process. But yeah.
Thanks for the update. Thanks. That's intriguing. For myself, so I guess I did a lot of reviews yesterday. I reviewed Rune's work and Vijaya's PR as well. Spent some time with Vijaya last night talking about some of the issues with her PR. I think she's addressed that now. I spent a lot of time improving my PR. Every time you put something in, Hound starts to create more errors. Once you fix one, it uncovers others. And I had some code climate issues I had to fix. I did work on the test structure for the Jasmine tests, as I mentioned to Laura. So that's good to go. I did pair programming with Arun and with Vijaya yesterday. And right now I'm struggling with troubles with Semaphore CI. We're failing intermittently on our email validation. We're going out to Mailgun's validation service, and somehow that's failing for us intermittently. And so I've got some query into Semaphore, and I'll be looking at that this morning. That's my critical thing right now. And that's it for me. So I guess we can bring the Scrum to a close then. In terms of connecting up with folks, so Lauren, you and I should connect up for a few minutes.
Yeah, that'd be
Right
great.
for this? Yeah. I don't know if anybody else wants to connect. Matt, in particular, you said you were looking for help.
Yeah, if anybody's available, but I think I know what I think I know what I'm doing now. So
Okay.
don't need it.
I'm going to be, but I'll spend some time with Lauren, and then I've got to look at this Semaphore CI issue that I've got because it's really critical. Everybody's breaking. No PR is getting through.
I could use, just with connecting with Matt, maybe if I can, since I started this hangout, if maybe I could just have 5 minutes with Matt in here just to connect up the voting thing that's going on in the Redeemify channel. That would be really useful. I think we're kind of missing, we're kind of at cross purposes in Slack. So I think 5 minutes of discussion would work really well for us. If that's okay, Pat and Lara, who I think might be also wanting to have 5 minutes real-time discussion now.
I'll connect. Yeah, I'll start another pair programming session about 5 minutes after the close of this, Laura. I need about 5 minutes. I think the other thing, Matt and Sam, we seem to be a lot of MOOC students coming in who really want kind of a simple, accessible story to work on, vote, etc. On Met Plus, I'm struggling to come up. I've got 3 stories queued up. They're refactoring stories that I think newbies could kind of take, various complexities. But beyond that, since we're approaching MVP, everything else is kind of big, and it would require Laura, Sandhya, or myself.
I've got 2 issues, just like cleaning up a controller.
Yeah. So that's what I'm getting at. I mean, if we could reach out to some of those MOOC students looking for that, maybe we could steer them toward Redeemify.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sending people to Redeemify SHF project and Met Plus and local support. In local support, we classify and we vote on all of our things. So like we have specifically an up for grabs tag in the local support pivotal tracker, and we have like 1, 2, or 3 complexity on the bugs and the chores. And the idea is that then, particularly if you've got anything that's got a 1 on, that should be a potentially good way in for you. If you check out the local support channel as well, I've just had 2 new folks come in, one who was voting yesterday. I posted a big chunk of stuff there about, like I don't think it's a very common question, people coming in, like whether they're MOOC students or whatever, is like, okay, what do I do next? And I guess it's kind of, there's this thing that I've got here, and this is what when I mentioned about writing a book, or somehow this is, I think, the thing that we've got to get across to people is, okay, right, so you want to get involved, how much time do you have to spare, right? So if you've got like less than 15 minutes to spare, okay, we'll review a pull request. If there's a vote going on in the channel, then get involved in that. Or if you're feeling really confident, start a new vote. If you've got less than 30 minutes, if you've got a bit more time, or you could join a Scrum and say, hi, tell us what you're doing. you could spend time reading the project documentation, you could observe a pairing session, and so on and so forth. And I think if we can kind of somehow get it set up, almost like that we had a bot on the channel, that when people joined the channel, when joined the entire Slack instance, that kind of said, look, this is the way, you know, given on the amount of time and your interest, that you can start to get involved. And like all these things, like saying, you know, these are the sorts of tickets to look for in the tracker that will be good for intro people and so on. So we need to kind of get this all written up and, you know, get a shared mental space on this, and also find a good way of communicating it to all the new people, I think will be the key going forward.
Yeah, that's good outline. I like that.
Yeah, write that up somewhere and post it.
Yeah, one of the things I've been doing is I've got, like, I mean, we need to sort of pull these into the main site itself, but we've got this Agile Ventures repo, which is a place that I've been setting up for, you know, like if you want to join how to join a project. And so I've got like the names of the different people who are running the projects, which are the active projects in there. I've got starting a new one, async, very different things. Yeah, so I'm kind of trying to pull together the sort of the high level meta documentation about Agile Ventures. And ultimately, I think we'd like to get that so that it's kind of front and central in the main site, where we do have things like the getting started, but it's kind of a bit out of date and sort of tells you to go and like do lots of things. And I don't know. Yeah. So, but this is, you know, feel free to come in here and do pull requests and, you know, just add stuff and, you know, whatever. Hopefully we can kind of polish it together to turn into, you know, a sort of a resource of like how to participate in the community.
Oh, that's great to
Can I
see.
suggest something too?
Please.
Sam?
Please.
Sam, I think maybe even if you do a short intro video on those key points,
Right.
you know, people don't tend to read.
Sure.
You've got more chance of them reading, watching the video.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely. No, good point. It would almost be nice if, I mean, I know other people, our sponsor, Dree, they've just done they've got it on their site. If they, like here, they've got like a little video built in here, which is like how to get set up with their system.
Yeah.
So if we had something like that, like we've got our lovely crafted, you know, homepage for Agile Ventures, but if we had, like, rather than this, which has lots of text underneath, if there was like a video thing here, it's like, hey, you know, here's how to get involved. The top level things, yes. Yes, maybe that's the key.
That's funny. I don't like videos. I like text because the videos makes me watch something for 3 minutes, and I really just want one snippet of information. I'd rather just scan down text. Oh, there it is. Anyway.
Yes.
Well,
Well, and I think we have different. I think there's for some people, text is what they love. Other people, audio. They like, you know, the blog. I mean, I was just on this. I hope everybody. Not saying you need to listen to it necessarily, but I've just been on this podcast talking about Agile Ventures, like so. Like some people, you know, they don't want to join the Hangouts, and we've got like a big load of open tickets for like, is there some way that we can turn the scrums into podcasts? But so I think what we want to do is you want to try and ideally we have the same kind of message about participation across an audio, a video, and a text, and obviously with some diagrams for those people who are not so into the text. And if we can kind of get that consistent message to the people coming in those multiple forms, then we can kind of reach everybody, and there's going to be maybe a smoother onboarding ramp across the board, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, all good stuff.
Good stuff. Great. So yes, and all help on getting these things done. Very, very, very much appreciated in whatever form. Suggestions, even just suggestions in scrums. But yeah, sort of like whether it's pull requests to the different bits and pieces, or you may not realize that nobody ever does that you know, you can, all of the things like the standard pages, like the about page and the getting started page in the agileventures.org site are all editable if you have an Agile Ventures membership. So yes, dive in and help us make it a more welcoming, or at least I think we were already very welcoming, but I think make it you know, more help us improve the consistency with which we point people to do different things.
Well, I just had on my to-do list to look at Agile Ventures, take a look at that, and yeah, that looks all good.
Nice one.
All right, anybody else have anything? Okay, so Sam, take it away, Laura.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
set
stay
up
with
another
Matt.
session in about 5 minutes or so.
Mhm.
Look for that, Laura.
Sorry, yeah, that's great.
Okay. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for
Ciao.
joining.
Thanks, Pat. Take care.
Bye now.
So Matt, yes, I think we were
Yeah, I realized you were saying one thing and I was hearing another.
easily done, which is of course why we have these wonderful hangouts to help resolve these things. But yes, so you were saying that you had created a new ticket and were hoping that somebody might work on it, but that no one had. And yeah, the main thing is like, you know, creating the ticket has a relatively low visibility. You know, it's by conducting the vote that we kind of increase the chances that people might work on them. So if we go to the Redeemify project here, yeah, and then I was getting confused because that was looking at those other things.
Yeah, I'm working on the first one now, and that's almost done.
Right. So how has this been set to have 2 points?
I just said it.
So now that's the thing is I would say avoid doing that if you can, because not that you can't do that, obviously you can do that if you want, but the thing to do is you can still work on it even though it hasn't been estimated, that you're effectively doing a spike of it, but if we have this one that then has a story. Sorry, go on.
Should we still have a vote? I'm pretty much done with it.
I think, well, it's certainly not required. I think it's like, let's say that you were going to spend another hour on it. It's still valuable to have a vote on it because it increases the profile of the story within the channel. Like by starting the vote on it, what it means is that myself and Francis and others will kind of like pass our eyes over it. Even if you then say later on, oh, I've just finished it and actually it was a 2, what have you, we've still kind of got, it's about our awareness as project team members about what you're doing. So I think it's still useful to run the vote. Of course, it's also, you know, bandwidth. If you're feeling logistically overwhelmed, then you don't need to. But that's why I want to get to this point where
right.
You know,
gotta like reset the voting. Like that first vote, just ignore that because that story.
Sure. Right. And then that was just my confusion that.
Yeah,
because you said that there was a vote, I kind of scrolled back up here and saw this and tried to look at this link, but you know, you can edit the stories like this. Like if I go here, it gives me this.
Right. Oh, I thought I fixed that. Sorry, I did edit one of them, and I must not have edited the other.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the 3 that I'm seeing here, they all say that particular.
Oh, you know
thing.
why? Because I deleted the story, as I said.
Oh, I see. So I'm sorry. Right. So the story itself was deleted.
The links are valid, but they're not valid because I deleted.
They're valid, but they're to a story that actually was deleted. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. So then, if we come back to, I mean, so you happen to be working on that one. That's fine, and I see that you've updated this, like to get the, you know, the high level story thing. But then was there you were sort of sounding like you were saying that you created another story and that you were hoping some people might work on that. So which story was that?
API 2, the next one.
Okay.
And I did stories in it.
Right. So again, I think it just seems slightly funny to me.
I understand the vote should go first, right?
Oh no. That was yes. But although what I'm coming in here is like, so I guess what it feels to me is that rather that, like, the stories that we've got here are talking about the implementation of what we do rather than the user needs. Do you know what I mean? They're kind of like,
yeah, I understand.
So
description should be better. Yeah.
Well, or I mean, this is a perfectly reasonable description of what we might end up doing, but it maybe prejudices us to think that this is necessarily the way that we're going to achieve the end goal.
Yeah, but I as the architect, I guess, have already figured out the sequence that things should be done, and if we don't do it in that sequence, it's going to be very difficult, I think.
Well, I think that, and then
I tried doing it out of sequence in that proof of concept, and the first thing you have to do is optimize to the user model.
I take your point, but I guess where I'm coming from is it feels to me that like maybe we do have to end up doing it in that sequence. I mean, it's kind of like if there's an extent to which you've got a mental model in your head of what is the end experience that's gonna be there, right? And the difficulty that we have for a distributed team is that, for me, I don't necessarily have that model in my head, and maybe that Francis doesn't, or what have you. And part of the process of doing the vote is, understanding that, the ultimate user experience that's going to be delivered. And it may be that, like from a traditional, design up front, we'd say, like, okay, that's a kind of a given. This is the architecture that we will need, and then here are the 5 steps that we're going to put in the Gantt chart, and they've just got to be done, and they're going to be done independently of thinking about the bigger picture. And that's certainly a way to go. I guess what I'm hoping to do is to do this agile process where we kind of increase the awareness of the kind of end user experience for every member of the team. And so as we move forward and we're looking at, okay, I seem to be having a particular problem with hooking up this devise thing onto the model or what have you, that we're clear what the context is of why we need each of the components. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and I think if you look at the stories, I could almost delete the next 3 stories, and we could start with the story is, I need to connect to Redeemify. I'm already an AV user and I need to connect to Redeemify. And get my I'm getting technical, but get my key back.
Well, I mean, I think getting the token back is not unreasonable. That's like the end user, once they've understood, like, that they want to, do that. But so, I mean, I guess what I'm saying here is, great, we've got here as an API client, so that I connect to Redeemify. I want to be able to create an account as an API client so that I can only see my vendor codes. I want to be able to log into my account with a third-party authentication as an API client, so that I can use my vendor codes. I want to be able to delete my account.
So those are pretty good, I think.
Well, I guess I'm struggling a little with the grammaticality of this one. So that I connect to Redeemify. So that, I guess that, so only I can connect to Redeemify.
So that I can connect. I think the only is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
right. And I guess it seems to me like that there is separate stories in there.
It means that there's got to be security somehow. That only meant that
right.
nobody can connect to me.
But so, yeah. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to lead us towards, and I mean, by all means, ignore my suggestion. I just, like, when I see this, it feels like slightly back to front. Like, what I want, if I just sort of create like I would take this as kind of, that's one thing, and then this is then creating account. And what I would then do is I would, creating accounts via API. What I would then do is I would write a Cucumber test for this, and then drive the creation, the function, write the functionality so that I could check that works. So then it might be the case that I then, do a migration to add device to the user model, and that's what allows that to work. But I kind of want to be in this pose of, whatever the names are here, and ideally having a single story there, because I mean, there's creating, and then the being able to create. I mean, maybe devise will necessarily bring all, make all of these work in the same go, but I think we kind of probably want to make our features connect to specific Cucumber stories and use that to drive that. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
So, I mean, I won't save that story there.
Well, in other words, there's too much in this story, I think. And
yeah, it sort of feels like that, and it's almost like it may be that we end up saying, okay, well, actually having only this ability and not these other ones, well, it's not much use, but it allows us to focus on getting this bit working, and we can get a single pull request that gets that bit working, and that can get merged in, and then we can worry subsequently about this component and this component.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, we can put them and we can vote on these separately, and that then moves us towards all the team members understanding all of the high level features that are actually needed. And then even then, if they can't necessarily help with the device thing, and however it happens to get implemented, like, it's getting these concepts, I think, really well founded in the heads of all the people involved, because when they've got to make decisions about, oh, this cucumber test is breaking, or I add this other thing, it's our shared understanding of these high level features that will allow us to keep the whole project on track.
Right. That's great. Yeah. I think you're taking this as a team approach. And I was kind of, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, I'm probably just going to do all this myself.
Right. And it might be faster for you. That's the interesting sort of what's the word, a contradiction or conflict that we have, is that it often can be like, if you've got a clear picture and you say, right, I'm just going to sort of do it, and of course what Agile Ventures, what we're hoping to provide is this, say, broader picture where even if it goes a bit slower, that we try and bring the whole team along with us. And particularly when we have volunteers and people, their availability comes and goes and so on, it can be very frustrating that you've gone to all the effort of having a story voted on. But I think in the long run, it's sort of the more valuable thing is the practice of the Agile process, rather than necessarily getting the individual features implemented.
Yeah, I mean, just selfishly, when I think about it, I already kind of understand what needs to be done. So it's better for me to learn the process and practice the Agile process than actually implement this.
Per se, because
for everybody.
that's right. I mean, there's no question, of your technical, but clearly you'll be able to get it to work ultimately, by hook or by crook. But yeah, as you say, it's the Agile process flow that's kind of interesting. And what we might the big win potentially is if we then are able to break the little thing into slivers, and then you've done 90% of the story, but then there's an extra bit, and it's kind of, oh, that would be nice. But then there's a simple one. We get one of the other MOOC students or another person coming in who will take that off, and because we've done it all in this flowing fashion of describing from the top down, they're more likely to be able to grasp where their work fits into the bigger picture, and also for them to grasp the whole Agile flow as well.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So I think I'm going to work on breaking up that first story. I might just delete the other two stories, right? Because
use your best judgment, and and get the things one at a time in whatever order you think voted, and I'll make sure that I'll participate in the vote, and we'll get other people in there and get them voted, and then see if we can't get more stuff going with this project. Yeah,
that's great. Okay,
cool. All right, I better run. Bye for now.
All set. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks.